animated Anarchy series presents the Animated Hour of Power.
What's up, everybody? We are live. I am back in costume for this one. Of course, the character I am portraying, Dave admitted he doesn't like that show, so it's not going to bode well. But this is the Animated Hour of Power here on the When Tunes Combine YouTube channel. This is part of the Animated Anarchy series. After a little bit of technical difficulty, as in these guys couldn't locate their messages, we were able to get everything sorted out before the show went on air. Thank God.
Thanks, Facebook.
Huh?
I said thanks, Facebook.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens. Ever since Facebook, switched to Meta, it's just like. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to say anything because it might be
a little weird. It's been funky. That's what we'll say. It's been funky.
Yeah. But all right. So this is the Animated Anarchy series, the Animated Hour of Power. I am, of course, your host, going by tonight Astro Dutchy. Because if I put in Astro Jetson, I'm pretty sure somebody from Hanna-Barbera will try to sue me. Joined always, of course, by Shawn.
Hello.
Wildcard Dave.
Know it.
No Eric again. He is still in Australia, so that means I am judging tonight. So we'll see what happens. But tonight's matches are Bubble Guppies versus Fillmore, the Archie Show versus the SMURFS, ALVIN and the CHIPMUNKS versus the JETSONS, and our main event is Solo Leveling and Fire Force. So in a couple minutes, we're going to go to the randomizer, pick out the 5 categories for tonight by random. Best of 5, we're each going to judge. If a show wins 3-0, 30 points, 3-1, 20 points, 3-2, 10 points, and 5 points for the loser. If you are swept, you lose 10. So that is usually how it works. This is still all the show's first attempt at trying to get points. And here we go, going to the randomizer. And can everybody see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right.
See it.
Here we go. Let's see what we get. Dave? You asked not to have it, so it's being given to you.
Yeah, the first one.
So we have memorable moments, fan base, animation, enjoyment, overall enjoyment, and merch. Of course, always with the merch. The hardest category to explain is the one we get all the time.
Yeah, merch.
So
yeah, I'm fine with 3 of the 5. It's okay with me.
All right, let's go ahead and let's start with Bubble Guppies versus Fillmore. Bubble Guppies in the division of Jordan Zavala and Fillmore in the division of Nick Visco. All right, let's just go ahead and let's get right into it. Memorable moments is the first category, the category that Dave begged me to have it before we went on air. When I say beg, I mean he said, please don't let this happen. But nobody listened, apparently. Bubble Guppies is a kid's show. Fillmore was a Disney show that's not even available on Disney Plus. That goes to show you how good Disney thought it was. And memorable moments. All right. Did any moments stick out for you for either one of the shows? And I'll go first, and I'm going to say Fillmore, because with Fillmore, or like with Bubble Guppies, I feel like little kid cartoons really don't present a lot of memorable moments.
No, I feel like it's more repetitive.
Yeah. So that's why I went with Fillmore. Shawn, we're going to go to you next.
No, I agree. Fillmore. Bubble Guppies is not the type of show to have any memorable moments.
Yeah.
It's like age group 4 and under. Like it's just supposed to be
Educational.
and educational.
Yeah. Hey, Dave?
Yeah, I'm going with Fillmore as well. I mean, the parodies of like serious crime drama kind of gives it the edge over to me.
Yeah. All right. So Fillmore's going to start it off with a victory here. All right. And now we move on to fan base. All right. Who had the bigger fan base? And this one is a little more difficult, but not really, I don't think. But Dave, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I went with Bubble Guppies here. I feel like because they have all these little kids currently watching them, and still currently watching them. I feel like, Fillmore, you ain't going to see it on TV. So it does, to me, the fan base really isn't there for Fillmore like it is for Bubble Guppies.
Yeah. Shawn, did you just need like a refresher course as to what the categories were?
I don't have a pen.
Ah.
So I normally write them down just so I don't forget, because there are moments where I do.
All right, Shawn, we're going to go to you next.
No, I agree. Bubble Guppies would probably have the biggest fan base out of the two shows. It's like you said, Fillmore's not even on Disney Plus, so it's obviously like nobody really would know the show.
Yeah. I mean, unless like it's on YouTube. So like, but there's not a lot of people that are going to say, oh, what do I watch on YouTube? Oh, Fillmore's on here.
Right. I think more people know Bubble Guppies than Fillmore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you have kids, because that's a definite like show. Your kids acting up, put it on, they be quiet and get mesmerized for half an hour.
Right. I also am going with Bubble Guppies, so now we are tied 1-1. Animation style is next. Which show had the better animation style? And Shawn, I'm going to go to you.
Oh, Bubble Guppies all the way. So clean. Obviously, they're a little more advanced because, they got, 9 years on the show?
Yeah.
On Fillmore. Fillmore looks like their animation isn't bad, but it just reminded me of, I don't know if you ever played any of the Jumpstart games. Like the educational Jumpstart games.
Yeah.
And there was a fifth one that reminded me a lot of that show and that animation style, just because of the skateboard too. But no, Bubble Guppies is a lot better, a lot cleaner.
Yeah. Dave?
I actually went with Fillmore here. I think their classic 2D animation was pretty on point. They have a broader range of motion and detail, I believe. Bubble Guppies, I think it was simpler. It's more colorful, simple animation. It functions for, the people it's targeting, but I think Fillmore just did a little bit better.
Yeah. Eric just woke up. He's just checking his messages now. But that's what happens when there's a 15-hour time difference. All right. I actually went with Bubble Guppies just because I've always said it, and Bubble Guppies is a Nickelodeon show. So, and I've always talked about how good Nickelodeon's animation was and is. So, do you guys need the links for the pre-recorded show?
Maybe.
Yeah, just send them.
All right.
I'm doing.
Send them to be safe.
Yeah, I just said yes.
to be safe.
Yeah, he'll take care of it. He's
I
just
am running a background on everything, Facebook, on my other monitors, so we'll see how that goes.
But yeah, so Bubble Guppies to me is, because it's Nickelodeon, I've always felt like the animation was better with anything Nickelodeon. So I went with all right. So 2-1 Bubble Guppies. Next category is overall enjoyment. Which show did you enjoy more? I'm going to go first, and I'm going to say Fillmore, because Bubble Guppies is a kid's show. Fillmore is a little more, kind of like, not necessarily for adults, but it's something more enjoyable because, you should only really be watching Bubble Guppies if you have a little kid.
Yep.
Or if you're doing research for a podcast, I guess. But thank you, Eric. And I'm not wearing a customer. I'm wearing a costume. But all right, Dave.
Yeah, I went with Fillmore here. I like the kind of like the parody on the cop investigation type deal. I thought that was pretty interesting. So,
All right. Shawn, no tie to be broken, but go ahead.
I have Fillmore on this one. Bubble Guppies is annoying. Granted, it is a kid show.
Yeah.
Fillmore's just more my style.
Yeah. All right. 2-2 tie. So we're opening it up with a show going best of 5. I did not actually expect it, but that's what happens with the categories.
yeah.
So already we're off and running here. Well, slowly jogging. Merch is the last category. Who had the better merch? I don't remember ever seeing merchandise for Fillmore. But I know Bubble Guppies has merchandise because it's a kids show.
Yep.
With that being said, Shawn, you have more little kids than Dave does. So you get to go first.
That we know of. Bubble Guppies all the way. Clothing, like toys, I don't know. I think we have some toys. I can't give you an honest answer if I have any Bubble Guppies like merch of my own, but I've obviously seen it, Yeah. It's a little kid show. They're going to promote the crap out of it.
Yeah. All right, Eric, the categories this week are memorable moments, fan base, animation, overall enjoyment, and merchandise. Dave, you're up next.
Yeah, I went with Bubble Guppies here. They have significantly generated higher sales than Fillmore, due to their target demographic and the longevity of the show. So just from that alone, the longevity, they have sold more merch, have put out more merch. I have seen a couple of Fillmore things, like some like what do you call those little cars, like Matchbox cars type deal.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of those on the internet, but besides that, I haven't really seen much for their merchandise.
Right. I really haven't seen anything either. So, all right. First battle's in the books. Bubble Guppies wins at 3-2, so they're going to get 10 points. Fillmore's only going to get 5. Kind of an upset, but what do you expect with those categories? I mean, if we want to be honest here. All right. Up next, the Archie show versus the SMURFS. The Archie show in the division of Raven Finley. I think, actually, hold on, I got to double check. It's been so long since I've actually looked at this stuff that I got to make sure I'm promoting the right person. Yeah. All right, Archie show in the division of Raven Finley, the Smurfs in the division of Kenny West. We start with memorable moments. Archie show really didn't last that long. The Smurfs ran 8 years.
The Archie show lasted 5 months.
Yeah, it only lasted like 34 episodes.
It was like first episode September 14th, 1968. Final episode January 4th of 1969.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to have memorable moments. I mean, you still can. Like, there can be episodes that are very memorable for people in like that short of a span. But Dave, I'm going to start with you.
I think the Smurfs get the memorable moments here with the Smurfs theme song, the catchphrases, Gargamel and his little sidekick Cat. I'll get you Smurfs, my little Smurfs or whatever.
Yeah.
The Smurf village and the setting it's around, I think, is more memorable than all the episodes of the Archie show combined. So
yeah. Shawn.
No, I agree I'm picking the Smurfs here. I was unaware of the Archie show until it was upon us, in the podcast. But like Dave said, everything about the Smurfs is practically memorable. From the theme songs, the characters, all the different character development that I can bring up because it's not a category. Like, the antics they get into, just everything. Everybody knows the Smurfs.
Yeah. So it's funny because like the Archie show, I got past maybe like the first or second episode and then I was done. It was just, it's not
like
good.
I was watching the Happy Days in real life.
Yeah. I mean, and the funny thing is that you have a comic or a comic book that is high selling and like it's very popular. So it's like, okay, you got to start turning, you got to turn it into a cartoon. They recently, a few years ago, they turned it into a show called Riverdale. But with the Smurfs, it's just so iconic because there's so many memorable moments. Like every time Gargamel tries to Gargamel and his cat Azrael. For anybody that doesn't know the name of the cat, every time they try to capture the Smurfs or their other enemy Balthazar, and when he's trying to capture the Smurfs, when he hired a woman to are you getting arthritis in your hand? Or are you telling me to hurry up?
no, I was shaking my hand.
He's telling you to hurry up.
I was shaking my hand because my wrist is acting up. Like it feels like it needs to be popped or something. You know what I mean? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
But the Smurfs had so many moments, and that's what happens when you're on the air for 8 years. So I also went with the Smurfs, so they're up 1-0. Fan base is the next category. Who had the bigger fan base? Now there is an argument for both shows because you can say that the fan base for the comic book, the Archie comic book, spilled over for the cartoon. I am not going to say that. I went with the Smurfs just because I feel like that fan base is still active, especially with the new movie that came out.
Yep.
So, Shawn, you're up.
No, it's Smurfs all day. I think just because they're so relevant to this day, people know the Smurfs,
Yeah.
Only a select few people in my mind, I think, would know what the Archie show was.
Yeah.
Even
they know the comic book more than they know the cartoon.
Exactly. But the Smurfs are just constantly around. They never really go anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's because, the fan base is so big. And like you said, the new movie just helped that grow even more, I think.
Yeah. All right. Dave?
Yeah, they have a global popularity, so you got to give it to the Smurfs.
Okay. All right. So we're getting into sweep territory here. Smurfs are up 2-0. They can win this next one with they can get a sweep here with another category win, get themselves 30 points. And next category is animation style. One show is from the late 60s, the other show is from the 80s. The Smurfs were another cartoon made by Hanna-Barbera.
Hanna-Barbera.
Who was king back then. They were still cranking out pretty good shows. All right. Same people that made the Jetsons, Scooby-Doo, and the Flintstones. And other not so popular shows, but still. Dave?
Yeah, I'm going with the Smurfs here. I think the 1980s Hanna-Barbera production of the Smurfs is just better animation than the 1960s Filmation produced. So I don't think the Archie show really stands up to the Smurfs animation style.
Yeah. Not really in any of these categories, or at least none that we're getting to. All right, Shawn, you're up.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Smurfs. The color separation on pretty much every episode was just very, very clean. A lot of detail.
Yeah.
A lot more to it, like the detail and just the animation of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Character-wise, so.
And because they had such a memorable run, like Hanna-Barbera shows, like even going back, and we're going to talk about them in a second because they're up next, the Jetsons. Jetsons didn't have a long run. Scooby-Doo had a long run, but in like 7 different shows. Flintstones went 6 years. The Smurfs went 8.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the animation did kind of like, the animation stayed good throughout. So I'm also going with the Smurfs. That seals a 3-0 victory here. So they're going to get 30 points. The Archie show is going to lose 10. Nothing against the Archie show, or not really, or at least not on my part, but it doesn't really compare to what the Smurfs offer. And I know the Smurfs is not a lot of people's cup of tea, and it really wasn't mine. I liked it when I was
liked the
little.
movies more than the show.
Yeah. Now, when I was little, I liked it. We always had it on. But, as you
when
get
I was
older,
little, I thought they were real, and I would go out there looking for Smurfs when I was little.
They were just big getting into like the garden gnomes too, buying them for putting in your garden.
Yep.
The heck was that beep? What just beeped?
that was my phone.
Oh.
I mean, that's what beeped on my end. I don't know if anything beeped on your end or not, but
Well, it did that, but I have stuff running in the background, like not a system check, but like searching updates and stuff for Facebook. Troubleshots. That's what it was.
I hate these stupid pens that I bought. They're supposed to be really good, and they work for 5 minutes, and then they just.
Oh, bro. All right. If you want pens, I'll tell you what pens to get. All right. Right here.
Selling the pen.
This pen is beautiful. All right. This pen, I've been using it to write all my lyrics in my notepad. The tip is like a.
It's a fine tip.
Yeah, it's a fine tip. It's kind of like a Sharpie tip almost. But it's made by Bic, the same one I use my lighters.
All right, Dave. This is a family show. We don't need to know about your tip. Good Lord. All right. So up next we have Alvin and the Chipmunks versus the Jetsons. Now, even though I am dressed up like Astro Jetson, that does not mean that is the show that I am rooting for. But we're going to start with memorable moments. And both shows had their share of memorable moments. Like in the first episode of Alvin and the Chipmunks, there was, Mr. T was part of it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's the episode of the Jetsons where they get Astro. Or the first episode of the series is when they get Rosie the robot, who are very integral characters to the series. Well, I know who my mother's rooting for. Okay. And then there's another episode of the Jetsons where George's grandpa comes to visit, and he causes quite the stir, ends up kidnapping a baby, even though he said he was going to babysit, but he missed the message. Alvin and the Chipmunks, they get into so much hijinks that it creates memorable moments. But Dave, where are you leaning on this one?
For memorable moments, I'm going with Alvin and the Chipmunks for their catchy songs, their pop songs that they're singing and stuff. Alvin, his schemes to get out of chores and like impress girls, and his little arguments with his responsible brother Simon, is pretty interesting and funny. So just for those points alone, I'm going with Alvin and the Chipmunk. The Jetsons kind of felt repetitive to me.
Yeah. All right, Shawn?
I have Alvin and the Chipmunks winning this one, almost for the same reason. Like the songs they would get into, the antics they would all get into or try to get out of, and they would also come back with a meaningful lesson at the end.
Yeah.
And the Jetsons is just a good show, but it was pretty repetitive and often didn't really make a lot of sense to me of what was like the premise of that episode.
Right. I agree. I also have Alvin and the Chipmunks because of more of the schemes that they have. And Shawn, like you said, it seems like episodes of the Jetsons were more repetitive, and it's kind of just like,
it's just like, what's going on here?
Yeah. It's just like, all right, what are we doing? But
you don't have to follow what you did last episode, but kind of have some similarity to it.
Yeah. So I also went with Alvin and the Chipmunks. We're going into fan base. Whose fan base is bigger? Now,
this one was tough for me.
And the funny thing is, and again, the Jetsons are another Hanna-Barbera cartoon. So obviously they have that fan base, especially back in the 60s and 70s. Older people, would probably say, even though it's a
classic,
huh?
It's a classic series.
Oh, it is. And Eric said, for what it's worth, he would have voted for Alvin and the Chipmunks in that first category too. But Alvin and the Chipmunks, they came out in the early 80s. They lasted a while longer. They had some movies that came out.
Multi-generational.
Yeah, generational, because, they were still able to build on that franchise. So this one was a hard category to pick. I'll go ahead and I'll go first. And I said Alvin and the Chipmunks just because of I feel like that fan base is still like around.
Active, yeah.
Yeah. So, Shawn?
I have Alvin and the Chipmunks winning this one too. For the reason, it's a show you as an adult can enjoy, but also your kids can enjoy just as much. I feel because of how the style of the show is. The Jetsons, I think you just kind of, I don't know, as a kid you would really like the Jetsons.
Or it was made more for adults because it aired in prime time.
But all the the funniness and the joking around in the Chipmunk show is more appealing.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Dave, where did you go on this one?
Yeah, I also went with you guys here. I went with Alvin and the Chipmunks. I think they have a larger, more active fan base. and multi-generational, where I feel like the Jetsons, I mean, they do have a long-term cultural impact, but we're not doing cultural impact. So
Yeah. It's weird because the Jetsons were such a classic cartoon back. And that's the thing. And we've run into this issue a few times. And it's not even necessarily, it's an issue for our viewers because they keep attacking me. But it's not really an issue for us because it's, how we feel. The older cartoons, because we kind of voice it on, all right, what's good now? Because some of the older cartoons do not hold up. Okay. Scooby-Doo got swept by Heathcliff. Now, again, these are all category based, but in some of the categories, Scooby-Doo does not hold up. Here, in some of these categories, the Jetsons does not hold up. I know it is very hard to take me seriously wearing a costume where a dog's mouth is like hanging right over my head. But and even like we had a few weeks ago, we had Tom and Jerry lose to the Cleveland show. But that was category based though, because you have voice acting, and one of the shows that is getting judged on their voice acting, they don't talk. That would be like all right, I'm gonna post Eric's up here. Again, he goes, fan base, even though my vote doesn't count, I'd vote the Jetsons because I feel like the same fans were the Flintstones fans and the longevity of the show. That would have been my argument. The show ran for 2 seasons in the 60s in prime time.
After its first season.
Huh?
It got canceled after its first season.
All right, so 1 season in the 60s, but then it got brought back in the 80s as a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, because it's got that Hanna-Barbera stamp on it, people remember it for that reason. Because it's a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. And also, too, they did a movie called The Jetsons Meet the Flintstones. So when you have that kind of crossover, it helps the cartoon a little bit. All right, Alvin's up 2-0. They can win this next category and sweep it. Category's animation style.
I don't think Alvin's taking this one.
I don't think so.
Well, I think we just spoiled it.
The Jetsons.
All right, I was just gonna say, does anybody want to give an explanation why?
It's just
the Alvin.
Should the dog do it?
The Alvin had smaller studio with limited animation. Hanna-Barbera Productions. I mean, top TV cartoon studio at the time. So you got a limited studio that really only had basic animations compared to the king of the animations at the time. So, I mean, there's not much debate right there.
There is no debate. And by the way, I didn't think anybody was going to debate it because we all basically said it's going to be the Jetsons.
Yeah.
I was just hoping somebody else would take the reins and I wouldn't have to do it because technically I would sound biased because I'm wearing one of the Jetsons right now. But that's the thing, because Hanna-Barbera was the king. Hanna-Barbera's animation was not tested or was not challenged as like, okay, there's better animation than this until my opinion, until Nickelodeon came out with their stuff.
Okay.
All right. Now, I know there are some cartoons that we would say have better animation than some of these shows.
I would say some animes.
Of course you would say that. But that's the thing. No, what I'm talking about, like in that period in time.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, when there were, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, like I said, Hanna-Barbera was king. But then other animation studios started coming out. It's very hard to compare, even though we have a couple of them, still to go in this first set of matches. I'm trying to stay away from them, in the next sets after, because I feel like it is unfair to compare cartoon and anime, especially in that animation category. Even though, by the way, how is your ticker, Dave, after Bleach versus Denver the Last Dinosaur went to the all 5 categories?
I'm just saying Denver got lucky. That's all. My ticker's fine. It took some beatings, but I recover. I get a week to recover.
And he was finding 2 new co-hosts because
only if I stroke out and die,
Yeah. But by the way, in that animation category, that's what actually won it for Bleach, because
I mean, it's really anime. They really take their time to make sure their animations are flawless. So it's really hard to compete in animation style with anime.
You can't.
Yeah.
Some superhero cartoons might be able to do it.
Yep.
Some adult animation cartoons might be able to do it.
Shows like Yu-Gi-Oh might be able to do it too. Stuff like that.
Yu-Gi-Oh pulled off an upset last week. Just barely, or not last week, but this past Wednesday. It took a while, and it was one of our longer episodes because of that.
It was a good matchup.
Yeah. All right. Alvin's up 2-1. Overall enjoyment is the next category. I had a lot of trouble with this one because I kind of went back. So there's this podcast, and they're not around anymore. They stopped recording episodes in 2018, but they went for about 3 years. It's called Cartoon Boom. And they spend an episode talking about a certain cartoon, and they kind of review it. And then at the end, they, kind of revert back to their younger selves and say whether or not they like the show as if they like the show as their younger self. And so that I thought about it a little bit, and I'm like, all right, what does younger me like better? What did I enjoy more? Was it the Jetsons or Alvin and the Chipmunks? And I picked, and then I went back to older me because it's just technically older me is the one that has to answer. Younger me would have said the Jetsons, but older me is saying Alvin and the Chipmunks because I find George Jetson very annoying now. He's just that dad to where he thinks he's boss, but he's really not. And Alvin's just I just found their adventures a little more entertaining. Shawn?
I have Alvin and the Chipmunks winning this one. It's like you said, their episodes are just more entertaining. They're not always super repetitive. There's a story arc almost that you can follow, and it's just, I enjoy that. I enjoyed it more watching that than ever watching any episode of the Jetsons.
Okay. Dave?
I went with Alvin and the Chipmunks here. I love the kind of like the father figure of the Chipmunks. His name's Dave, so me and him, I like that. And then the songs that they play. I really like Alvin. He's my favorite character in the show. I like his demeanor. I like how he's always, scheming and always trying to get out of stuff. So it was more enjoyable for me. I like the music that they played too. So that was catchy.
Yeah. So I forgot to mention Alvin and the Chipmunks was in the division of Derek Elstrom, and the Jetsons was in the division of Dave's sister, Allie. Now she doesn't get swept, but it's a 3-1 win, so 20 points for Alvin and the Chipmunks. But Allie has a chance to come back and finally get one of her cartoons some points here. I mean, she doesn't have to do it. Technically, we're doing all the work. But Solo Leveling versus Fire Force. Fire Force is one of hers. Solo Leveling is in the division of Bobby Lovewell. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into it. or we don't actually have to jump. I don't want us to hurt ourselves, especially me since I'm old. And this costume costs $50 and I don't want to rip it. All right, Solo Leveling versus Fire Force. Memorable moments. Which show had more memorable moments? Dave, you're the anime king. You're up first.
I'm going with Solo Leveling. They got quite a few hype moments. The double dungeon incident. It's earlier in the series. It's a brutal moment that first hints at the darker side of the things, and Jinwoo kind of thrusts right into it. The animation quality makes it really stand out for me in the memorable moments. I mean, this is like god tier animation. This is some of the best animation I've ever seen. So that makes it very memorable for me. The battle scenes, they don't really go back into how like a lot of animes will stop mid battle and like give you a backstory and blah blah blah. No, they do that minimal and they're right to the point and the action's right there and I love it. So I think Solo Leveling takes this.
All right, so Dave's gonna go Solo Leveling. Shawn, what say you?
I'm also going with Solo Leveling. I think just what Dave said about the battles, they don't stop and end the episode mid-flight to suspense you for the next episode. They don't cut it off for a background story that doesn't really need to be put there. And also, I watched the episode where he changed his job to a shadow monarch, which was pretty cool. But I'm just more excited watching this show too. Like Dave said, just everything's a lot nicer and better.
I also went with Solo Leveling just based on I felt like there were more moments in that, especially like the first couple episodes where they're trapped in the cave. And when somebody tried to get out of the cave and they just got chopped in half.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
So I give it to Solo Leveling on that one. Fan base. They're both animes. I'm assuming they were both popular at one point. It's not necessarily my wheelhouse. It is Dave's. Therefore, Dave, you're going first.
This definitely Solo Leveling. It's got a bigger and more popular fan base. Its numbers are undeniably larger and broken records for non-Japanese anime property. So the rapid scale of this growth for this anime is stunning. And Fire Force, it's more of a critical fan base. It's a typical shonen anime. So it doesn't have that global impact like Solo Leveling's having.
Yeah. Shawn, go ahead.
Yeah, Solo Leveling. And can't deny the numbers.
Yeah. I also went with that just because it just seems like because I've heard nothing but good things about it from people.
Mm-hmm.
So
and for Crunchyroll, it's literally the number one hitter on Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
It surpasses One Piece and Demon Slayer.
4.9 out of 5, 100% for Rotten Tomatoes, and IMDb has it at 8.6 out of 10.
You said it surpasses One Piece as far as numbers go?
For on Crunchyroll.
Okay.
For its season 1.
I
for
smell
most
it.
rated anime on the platform. I don't know if that's just the streaming records for Crunchyroll. That's just that one thing. So there's I would have to to see which is better. If we did that matchup, I'd have to look at their sales for their mangas and all that.
It'll happen at some point. The light bulb went off. I mean, the light bulb usually burns out after 35 minutes, but the light bulb went off, and if I can keep it at least a little bit dim to where I can remember,
right?
To where I can remember it, it will be a matchup probably Not like yet, because the second set of matches has already been made. I'm like 3/4 of the way through the third set of matches. So when we get to set 4, it very well could happen.
All right. But it did win Anime of the Year for its first season. So
Wow. All right. They're up 2-0. Possibility for a sweep here, which
is that Kerchak?
Got a demon. No, that's what Xavier.
Oh,
I thought there were mice
Yeah,
running
that's
through your
Xavier.
house. All right.
He's trying to break it.
Animation is the next category. Solo leveling can win it here via a sweep. And Shawn, why don't you go first?
I'm picking solo leveling. I've never really seen as great as animation in an anime that I've seen or that I've purposely watched in a very long time. It is impeccable.
yeah.
Trying to use a big word. It's very impressive. It's just the detail, and I don't even know how to explain it other than everything about it is just really good.
Yeah. So I'm going to go next because I'm going to add a little bit of drama. I went with Fire Force. I like both, but I felt like, to me, Fire Force was a little more, especially like with all those fire scenes.
Yeah.
I felt like the fire in Fire Force, which technically it should because it's got fire in the freaking name, looked a lot cleaner as far as animation goes in Fire Force than it did in Solo Leveling. So just to add a little bit of drama, I know what's getting ready to happen. And it doesn't really matter to me because it's not my show, and it's not the show of one of my relatives. It's one of Dave's relatives. So Dave, take it away.
Yeah, they have a god tier animation. I'm going with Solo Leveling here. I mean, they consistently, intensify and make their visuals, a spectacle. I think they have really set the ground for the new standard of animation for anime. I really do believe that. I think their animation is consistent and is at peak of animation. And other anime should look at this anime and take some notes.
Now, let me ask this. By the way, they're going to win 3-0, and they're going to get the 30 points, and Fire Force is going to lose 10. But let me just ask this. In future battles, if we decide to have this, we know what the big three are. We've talked about it. You tried to hammer that point home as Shawn and I were giving categories to Denver the Last Dinosaur this past Wednesday. We know what the big three are: Bleach, One Piece, and Naruto. And we know Dragon Ball Z's not that far behind. Can Solo Leveling compete with any of those?
Yeah. It definitely can.
Okay.
It definitely, I believe so. It's a newer anime.
Wait, hold on.
We
might actually have that in our third set of matches, because you may have, when I gave you guys power to come up with matches for like special episodes, you may have already done that.
If not, I might put it in there.
I mean, no, you chose it to go against Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, okay. They're both newer animes. I think that's why I did it. But yeah, both of those shows that you just named, Jujutsu Kaisen and Solo Leveling, I think they could compete with the big three.
Yeah.
If you watch Jujutsu Kaisen, you'll see they mention some Naruto in there, here and there, and you'll see some characters kind of similarly looking like Naruto characters.
Well, that's convenient, because next week Jujutsu Kaisen's going against Naruto. Not on the live show, but I think on next week's Animated Showdown. So not the one we're getting ready to do after we get done with this.
Okay.
But episode 11 of Animated Showdown, it will be, I'm pretty sure, Jujutsu Kaisen versus Naruto.
That's going to be a fire battle.
Yeah.
I love both of those shows. I watched them both completely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what I did. Yes, that's it. That is exactly what I did. But
I think Solo Leveling or Jujutsu Kaisen, either Solo Leveling probably has it in my opinion, but the best animation out of all the shows in the entire tournament, I think it has the best animation.
I mean, that's a bold statement. I mean, it's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I've enjoyed what I've seen so far, and it could very well.
Just the animation is what I'm talking about. Like, I think it tops everything in animation.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how many times it gets the animation category.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so they're gonna win it 3-0. So they get a sweep. Alvin and the Chipmunks beats the Jetsons 3-1. The Smurfs swept the Archie show 3-0. Bubble Guppies and Fillmore. Nobody had this on their bingo card, but they went the distance, and Bubble Guppies won it 3-2. Next week on this, well, before I promote that, this upcoming Wednesday on the Animated Showdown, which we are getting ready to record soon, but it'll be released on Wednesday at noon. A boring world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist versus Parasite the Maxim. Ace Ventura Pet Detective versus Blue Exorcist. Kenichi, the Mightiest Disciple versus Sword Art Online. And in the main event, it is the Super Friends versus Woody the Woodpecker. All right. Next week on this show on Animated Hour of Power, Rick and Morty the Anime versus Hellsing Ultimate. Lucas the Spider versus Total Drama. Dragon Ball Super versus Dr. Stone. And a matchup I'm personally looking forward to in the main event, Voltron versus Mask. Which is abbreviation for Mobile Armored Special Command. That is next week. Make sure to like and subscribe to the When Tunes Combine YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you are you join the When Tunes Combine Facebook group. There are updates that go in there. Goodbye, Eric. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to the Wrestling Through the Years YouTube channel. This upcoming Friday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to do our big money match ranking. Also, check out the Stabcast with Daniel and Mindy, the Dizzle 97 Gaming Universe with my brother Daniel, and also Eric's Unscripted Sports Show when he's back in the country. Check out Dave on Twitch at TCXGodsend95, Shawn at TCX Reaper on TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. Even though he doesn't have Twitch and YouTube on there, I'm making sure to still plug it because he'll say something if I don't. But all right, so we will see everybody on Wednesday, and of course everybody next week for Animated Hour of Power as the Animated Anarchy series rolls on.
Let's go. Peace out, everybody.